Hey everyone, Josh with Royal Treatment here. I have another fly tying tutorial for you. This is going to be one of my favorite or go-to steelhead flies. It's a little rabbit strip tube fly leech. I tie it in a lot of different colors, black and blue and pink, orange, black and red, purple and black. Kind of anything that you feel is a good steelhead color. Bright, dark, whatever I like. Sometimes I'll tie them with cones and with barbells and just anything that I like. And what I'm thinking about is heavy fly, light fly, big, small. This fly for me is very versatile. If the rabbit's too big, I can trim it down. It's just a real easy, it's more like a guide fly. So it's a real dirty, quick fly to tie. Doesn't have to look great to fish well. It's a very seductive, wiggly fly in the water because of the rabbit. So let's get started. I'm going to start with a medium classic pro tube. I take about 1 inch of it and start tying, maybe it's 1.5 inches, 3/8 of an inch up about. So I have a little area if I want to put a junction tube on the back, or, which is the way that I like to rig it, is I do a loop knot and I pull it up inside of this. And that's kind of going to be my junction right there. So to get started, I'm going to lay down a base of thread, and I'm going to use black rabbit for the fly we're going to tie tonight. And I'm going to cut it to maybe 3 inches long. Remember, if it's too long when I go to fish it, I can always cut it down, so it's much easier to have a little longer piece. But I basically do from my tie-in back to my material clip that's in the back. And I'm just going to lash this down right on top. And the overall fly body tie-in area is only going to be about this big. So 1/8 of an inch or 3/16, something like that. I'm going to leave that rabbit on top just like that. I'm going to take some black ostrich. This is a crazy plume that I had. I like that kind of large size. And I'm going to go ahead and cut off maybe 6 strands. I'm going to try to even them up. And then I'm going to tie them kind of on the bottom. So it kind of looks like a little belly under there. It helps to create kind of a taper with the material and the fly. So when I fish it, I'll have this long rabbit, mid-length kind of ostrich to help create the taper, and then a short hackle collar that's going to kind of round it all out. So that's going to just kind of sit on the bottom, and that's maybe 8 strands or just a few more than that. And it's, like I said, you just lock it in on the bottom. It's just kind of going to help fill that fly out. Once I get that tied in, I'm going to tie in some flash. This is the crinkle mirror flash. This stuff is great. It's very reflective and sparkly. I don't like to use a lot of flash in my flies, but I like to tie in a couple strands. So I cut off 2, and I'm going to tie them, lash them around my thread, kind of double them over, and lash them down on my side of the fly. Take 2 more and do that same exact thing, except I'm going to lash them down on the far side of the fly. So there I have basically 8 strands total. Kind of looks more like maybe a lateral line. Once I finish this fly, I'll trim those down. Next, I'm going to do a collar of schlappen. This is the Fish Hunter or Nature's Spirit collaring schlappen. And what I do is I pick a little piece of schlappen that I like, and I'm going to basically trim this to where the stem becomes unflexing, and I'm going to strip all those fibers off, and that's going to become my tie-in point. And I want to leave some of that fluffy stuff in the back so it looks like maybe a short piece of marabou. And I'm going to just leave all that in when I start wrapping and fold it back just like you would normally do with a collar. But now it has that kind of schlappen marabou base, transitioning into a regular kind of webby schlappen hackle. Kind of gives it a good flowy look, I think, in my mind. And when I put it in the water, I feel that way. And honestly, it's caught enough fish that I feel like that probably works. Tie that in there and just give it a few wraps to finish it off. Just like that. Maybe slick it back a little bit, get everything out of the way. Give it a couple of whip finishes, and you don't have to go crazy with the whip finishing because I'm going to just put a drop of super glue on next. I like this brush on one because I can really just get it in there. I'm going to take a bead, or a cone, excuse me. This is the Pro Cone medium, and just slide it right all the way back in there. Once I get that on there, it's got the super glue holding it. I'm going to basically trim this tubing so there's maybe 1/8 of an inch above that cone. I'm going to hit it with my lighter, but I'm going to leave the tube vertical, and as I hit it with the lighter, I'm just going to touch down on it so it doesn't catch on fire, but it flares and rolls back and melts. And it actually leaves the hole open still so I can get my leader in and out of there. Now that I've got that all tied in, I'm going to trim my flash down. And you have a tendency to just go and cut it all off at once, but I want the ends to be all different lengths. Otherwise, they have a tendency to just clump together when they're in the water being fished. And we want this really to move around as much as possible and really show off that flash. So something like that. And you can see now that the way this works is long rabbit, some flash, and then it has that ostrich, and then the schlappen is a little bit shorter yet. So it has that kind of teardrop shape to it. And that's my rabbit strip leech. And the way that I like to fish it in the wintertime is I just leave that little bit of tubing like that, and I'll just take and tie a loop knot on my hook and pull that knot inside, and that's a really secure way to fish it. And if I think this is too long, I can trim it down, and I can just make this thing fish whatever length I want it to be. So ultra versatile. Very easy, quick to tie. It's a, just my kind of guide fly. Like I said, tie it in any color that you like. I like this black with the orange cone, but I fish a lot of black and blue ones and a lot of pink and orange ones. And if I want something heavy, I can put a barbell on there and fish a little bit deeper, like I'm fishing those slots. And this is my go-to, and I'll try to catch one on this this coming Sunday. Hope you enjoyed. I hope you catch one on it. Thanks for watching.